Gon' kick it off then. Whoa. Gon' kick it off then. It ain't a game, kick it off then. Whoa. So gon' kick it off then. What we talking about, it goes deep. Something to watch, even from the nosebleeds. The fans been waiting, anticipating for the whole week. Cause we making moves and breaking news, no time for cold feet. Don't confuse, you know the rules and that we play to win. You ain't prepared to take it, then I let the games begin. A man's world, but the ladies gon' be taking it. Not a trophy or an arm piece, unless we talking Lombardi. What's up?
The Falcons have won 2 back-to-back divisional games on the road. Patriots maintaining the number 1 seed in the AFC in the Super Bowl rematch win over the Eagles. Speaking of the Eagles, Antonio Brown shared some intimate moments on social media of Eagles fans pleading for him to join their organization, and Mason Rudolph's involvement, or should I say initiation, in the altercation with Myles Garrett warranted him a $35,000 fine. But is that just fine? Woo! In my Mary J. Blige voice? Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned into episode number 11 of WTF Too, Women Talk Football 2. I'm Latasha Miles, a.k.a. Joan Madden, the Gridiron Goddess of SHESP and the network, accompanied by my knowledgeable, talented, dope, and beautiful teammate and co-host. Let the folks know who you are.
What's up, good people? It's your girl, the Touchdown Time Boy. Let's get this thing lit, boy. Let's go.
No doubt. Absolutely. Love the energy. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off then with the first quarter. Now, of course, it's a little bit of stale news right now because it happened last Thursday. But also, we had last week's show out before the incident occurred between Mason Rudolph of the Steelers and Myles Garrett of the Browns at the end of that divisional game. And some other teammates got involved. Suspensions and fines have been handed down. Touchdown Tomboy, what do you think of that incident? And more importantly, what do you think about where it stands now? Were the suspensions and fines fair, too extreme, not enough? And everyone is appealing. So what are the chances that they win those appeals too?
Well, okay, so it really went too far. Mm-hmm. Now, I do believe that there were suspensions that should have been warranted. I mean, my guy, Myles Garrett, lost it, and he basically took Mason Rudolph out with a helmet. But so I do believe that fines and suspensions were warranted. I think because we're going into week 11, the remainder of the season for something like that, to me, was not too grievous. Mm-hmm. The problem that I had is that the person that initiated the whole event didn't even get suspended. Mm-hmm. It was all the other people that reacted to the event that got suspended. And to me, that seemed a little bit fishy because, I mean, if you can see in a replay, Mason Rudolph definitely initiated this event, and I mean, I feel like because he initiated it, he should have at least gotten 1 or 2 games suspension because you can't suspend some and not suspend all. Right. And so that's where I'm at. I do believe that that the Myles Garrett, although he was on track to be the defensive player of the year, I mean, he really did. He took it too far. And so I do believe that the rest of the season, because it is only, 7 games left, I don't think that was too bad per se because, I mean, that just can't be tolerated. And then I think Pouncey got, 2 games? And 3 games, and then maybe with him, I think maybe that should have been maybe 2 games. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, in terms of just Mason Rudolph receiving nothing but a fine, I just feel like the NFL did not handle that appropriately. Everybody should have been suspended.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And let me preface this by saying I am a diehard Steelers fan, but I'm also very, very unbiased, and I'm a realist. And I agree that Rudolph should have been suspended. Like you said, the role that he played in this, he was not a reactor. He was an initiator. And I know the fine hits his pocketbook because, he's a young quarterback. He's just getting in there. So he doesn't make a lot of money. So $35,000 is a huge hit for his pocketbook. It's not chump change. But see, that's a personal cost, okay? Now, the suspension would have showed more of an accountability of how he hurt the team. That would have been more of a business. That would have hit more people. As the $35,000 is only only on his dime. That's it. That's an individual personal cost. But if you would have suspended him, that would have had to make the Steelers adjust the plan with a different quarterback, piss off the O-line and the receivers because you broke up the consistency of the offense. And everybody is like, Garrett should have handled it better. True, he should have, but we all know of Garrett's aggressive behavior, so I don't even know why he tested him either. He was provoked. We all know that Garrett is a bull in a china shop. So I don't even know. I don't know why you poked a sleeping bear. Now, no, Garrett by no means was right at all, but you can't control how another person reacts, and Rudolph gave him ammo. You can control how you react, and so that's why I'm blaming Rudolph a lot of this. You planted this seed. So no, Rudolph is not the victim at all. And I feel like that's what they gave him. They coddled him with the fine and not the suspension because it's like you're the victim because you got hit in the head with the helmet. But he initiated the hit of him getting hit on the helmet because, again, you can't control how other people react, especially when you provoke them. That's kind of on you for opening that door, for opening Pandora's box. Now, all of the peeling that's going on, James Thrash is actually a former wide receiver, and he is in a league officiating appeals officer in this, and he has a reputation for reducing a lot of suspensions. So Garrett has a little bit of a possible advantage with that. And also, Garrett can pull this particular card in helping him in defense. According to the CBA rule, players cannot be suspended indefinitely for on-the-field activities. So he might have a little bit of a case here. But like you said, I agree. We're already in the double-digit weeks of the season. I was thinking maybe an 8 to 10 game, but they said indefinitely because, like, if Cleveland goes to the playoffs, it's like he'll be out for that too, and possibly some of the beginning of the season. I felt like maybe an 8 to 10 game suspension would have been okay, but this indefinite is dangling. It's suspension. It's in limbo, so you don't know. But maybe Thrash will give more of a definitive answer when Garrett meets with him. And Roger Goodell talks like this meeting won't even happen to the end of the season. So he's definitely, that's another indication that he's definitely done for at least the regular season. And if the playoffs, if Cleveland, who still have a little bit of a long shot in getting in, so he definitely won't play in those either. But yeah, Rudolph definitely should have got more than just a slap on the wrist. And like you said, everybody else was reacting to what he started, and they got the bigger brunt of the matter. No, it should have been the person who planted that seed and fed this situation from getting out of hand the way that it did. He definitely should have taken more of a fall with that. So I totally agree with you on that as well. Now, staying in this division, but moving on to the second quarter here, let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens, the team who quietly has only a 2-loss record. They're on a hot 6-game winning streak. They have a quarterback who is in the MVP discussions heavily, and rightfully so. They have a reestablished running game. And speaking of running game, Mark Ingram is not only a member of the Lamar Jackson fan club, he is the president of it as well. Now, Touchdown Tomboy, with their accolades, stats, records so far this season, is Baltimore the team to beat in the NFL?
Let me tell you, it's sure looking like it. Okay, so when they came out swinging on the Patriots, okay, they had a double-digit win against the Patriots. I said, okay, that's good. And bit it, J.J. Watt is out for Houston, but Houston is no type of run-in-the-mill team, and they beat them 41-7. That means your offense was doing excellent, and your defense was doing really good, too, because Deshaun Watson has been lights out all year, too. So I'm looking at that, and I'm saying, man, they got dual problem. Like, they can offer a problem to any team in both ways, offensively and defensively.
Right.
They're having a hard time. Every team is having a hard time controlling, keeping Lamar Jackson in the pocket. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they're shutting teams down. Like, they're not even really scoring. And so when you look at that, I'm wondering, is there any team that could possibly beat them? I thought maybe the 49ers defense could possibly slow Lamar Jackson down, but I'm thinking about how inconsistent Jimmy G is in terms of his touchdown to interception ratio, and I'm thinking maybe that even if they slow him down, I don't see them being stopped. So right now, the Baltimores are on my team, the team that's on the radar that I feel like that is the team that has to be beat going forward.
And I agree with you for most of the part of that, but I do have a couple of concerns about Baltimore. I'll start with the good first. So like you said, they did have that huge win against Houston on Sunday. They've had big wins on the road in Seattle and against the Super Bowl champions and snapping their undefeated record. They beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Now, granted, this is a Pittsburgh team with a lack of identity when they played them earlier in the season. They still had that lack of identity at the time, but this is still a division rival, and to beat them on the road, it's always huge. And all the things that I previously mentioned make them a crowd favorite. It's very sexy, those huge wins, but you still can't count out New England. And much as it pains me because I can't stand New England, so it's hard for me to say that, especially when they've already beat them. You know Belichick is going to try to find a way to cheat them. Beat them. He seeks revenge just like he did against the Eagles on Sunday since they beat them in the Super Bowl. And anytime he gets these rematches, which it looks like it could be another Baltimore and New England game somehow, some way in the playoffs, like when Bill Belichick plays you, he sees what you did right, and the next time he plays you, he eliminates that. He did it with Kansas City. He did it with the Eagles. He even got petty talking about when Lane Johnson was like, I'd rather have my one Super Bowl and be having fun than to have 5 and not have fun, is what Lane Johnson said after they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Well, Lane Johnson, to add insult to injury, Lane Johnson got hurt. But also when Bill Belichick won that game, he mentioned very petty, and said, looks like we were having a lot of fun out there today. And anybody who's a football fan know that was a shot at Lane Johnson. Again, adding the insult to injury, Lane Johnson was one that actually got hurt. So that was crazy. He doubled up on that one. But Belichick just has a way of finding out what you did right to beat us or what your strength is and completely eliminating it. He's just really, really good at that. So if they do play Baltimore again, that concerns me. Also, the other thing about Baltimore is they won the AFC North last year, returned to the playoffs, but did nothing with it. They lost at home to the Chargers. So essentially, they just took up a space, and it was null and void. They won the same amount of playoff games as the other 20 teams that did not go to the playoffs last year. So they jacked off with that, and it was at home. So, don't collapse again this playoff season. At the moment, if the playoffs started today, they would have a bye. And we know that could be a gift and a curse because, if that could slow down your momentum if you have that extra week. But it could also help you with some injured players and getting them some rest and stuff like that. Now, my other concern about Baltimore is it's coming down to home field for Baltimore, okay? It's going to have to come down to home field. Right now, Baltimore is the number 2 seed, okay? So in order to secure a number 1 seed, they need New England to end up with the same record of them at least. Now, New England can also lose more games than them. But if New England and Baltimore end up with the same record, Baltimore does have the advantage because in the tiebreaker, they've already beat New England in the regular season. So that would give them the tiebreaker in that favor. So no matter how they get it, whatever the record is, they need New England to have an identical record at the least because they get that, and I have more faith in Baltimore. I don't trust that Baltimore has to go to New England for this rematch and play them. I just don't. And then just even the other thing that is concerning me about Baltimore is, and I'm talking about an isolated situation here, just Baltimore, New England. That schedule down the stretch, New England plays Dallas at home. They play at Houston without J.J. Watt. They play Kansas City at home. They play at Cincinnati. They play Buffalo at home, and they play Miami at home. Baltimore, however, has to play Houston. They have to play at LA Rams. As you alluded to, they also play San Francisco, whose defense can easily slow down Lamar Jackson. They play at Buffalo. They play the Jets at Cleveland, and the finale is at home against Pittsburgh. So New England, to me, has a more favorable schedule, including Baltimore needing them to lose at least one more game. Oh, and Baltimore cannot afford to lose anymore to stay on track and get what they need as far as home field. So that's another thing concerns me. I just like New England's schedule better down the stretch. Not necessarily saying that New England will have more wins, but they have a more favorable schedule than Baltimore. So I still think I love what Baltimore is doing, and it's hard for me to say that too because they're a division rival. But I got to be brutally honest. I would love for it to be a Baltimore and not New England. But it's just that the scales right now, New England has all the the benefits. Number 1 seed right now. More favorable schedule. Already lost to Baltimore. Usually they don't lose to the same team like that again. So I don't know. I hope it's Baltimore. They're definitely making some noise, but yeah, I still think New England unfortunately might be the team to beat.
Well, I don't disagree with you on that. I mean, everything that you said, definitely, they are valid points. And, and New England is a team you just can never count out. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
It's gonna be interesting, but I hope you're 100% right, because again, I'd rather it be Baltimore than New England. So let's go on to your halftime presentation. What do you got on the agenda for us this week, Touchdown Tomboy?
All right, this has been happening a lot over the last couple of weeks, and I think it's time that we talk about it, okay?
Uh-oh.
So the first thing that I wanted to talk about two things, because I kind of feel like they run hand in hand, and we're seeing it a lot, especially with quarterbacks. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about was what a sack is. A sack is basically when your quarterback is tackled where the ball is snapped or behind the line of scrimmage. So when your quarterback has possession of the ball and they're tackled by a defensive player, that behind the line of scrimmage is considered to be a sack. Okay? And then usually what occurs with most sacks is usually if there's not good ball protection, there's usually a fumble that happens. And that's just really when the player loses control of the ball before they're considered to be down or tackled. Mm-hmm. And again, that means when the player or the quarterback in this particular instance, or any player, they lose possession of the ball or control of the ball before they're considered to be down or they're tackled. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like those two run hand in hand. We've been seeing it a lot in the last couple of weeks. So there you go with sacks. There you go with fumbles. Next week, hopefully, we'll cover interceptions or something like that, because we're going to teach you all the rules of this game, and you're going to know, and you're going to know good. So that's all I got for this week. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thanks for breaking down that knowledge so thoroughly and so efficiently as you always do. And the fact that you were talking about quarterbacks, it is a great segue for us to lead into the third quarter, because it has been a disappointing season for so many quarterbacks, especially ones that we're used to seeing be great. And a lot of it could have something to do with the sacks that you mentioned as well, because they have been getting beat up and battered and bruised. A lot of that goes on the offensive line, but at the end of the day, there's still some quarterback play that could be better, and it has been very, very disappointing. So, Touchdown Tomboy, just based off of what we've seen so far this season, what starting quarterbacks are really, really disappointing us and letting us down so far?
I got a list. I got a list. Okay, let me go down my list, all right? I got Baker Mayfield. Baker. He has 11 TDs this season, 12 interceptions.
Sheesh.
So the ratio is not good there, okay? Baker, I think, is just frustrated. I don't know if it's Freddie Kitchens. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going on, but it looks like he has regressed, okay? Then we know about the issue that's going on in Tennessee, whether Marcus Mariota was benched for Ryan Tannehill, who looks okay, but still not okay. And then I think the one that has been most depressing to me now, and I'm wondering, maybe is it time for him to retire? And that's Phillip Rivers. Mm-hmm. Phillip Rivers has thrown 14 TDs, but in the last 2 games has had 7 interceptions. Mm-hmm. Like, what is going on in Charger land? And honestly, the Chargers have lost all of their games by 1 score or less. And if Phillip Rivers would protect the ball just a little bit more, we would talk about the Chargers as being contenders instead of pretenders. Because that defense is still doing wonderful. Mm-hmm. And now that they have, is it Melvin Gordon back?
Yes, Melvin Gordon.
That run game is looking good between him and Austin Eckler. So it's like, what is going on? What's going on with Phillip Rivers, of course. And then Mitchell Trubisky, that's no surprise. He's on the list every year. I don't even know why he's still the quarterback in Chicago at this point. And Jameis Winston, he's been a turnover machine, but I really felt like Bruce Arians was going to help him this year. I really did. He has 18 touchdowns and 19 interceptions. He did really good in the Seahawks game, and then last week he threw 4 interceptions. Like, what is going on? And Jared Goff this year is not looking like the elite quarterback that he was last year. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that the Rams been figured out, and that offensive line is not as strong as it once was. Right. But he has 11 TDs this year to 10 interceptions. And so that's my list of quarterbacks so far. I wanted to throw Andy Dalton in there, but he didn't have he was 9-8. But I don't know if that's because they're having a whole lot of other problems too.
Right.
So I just didn't feel like could fairly put him in there in terms of quarterback play. But all the quarterbacks that I mentioned actually are surrounded by good pieces, and they're just not performing. So what is your take on this perspective?
Yeah, and that was a very, very thorough list that I agree with. I think the thing with Baker Mayfield and the Freddie Kitchen situation, to me, this is karma to them because they should have kept Greg Williams anyway. They shouldn't have broke up that chemistry. Greg Williams was the interim coach last year and did a phenomenal job with them. Had them one game away from the playoffs. How dare you break up that consistency? That man had put so much work in there, had y'all basically at 500, and you ripped that away from him. So I'm glad that Baker Mayfield is struggling, and then they made all these Avenger type moves in the offseason, and it still didn't make a difference. Now I was rooting for Cleveland. On paper, it looked like they were gonna do great and gonna be great and do great things. But to me, this is just a side dose of karma because you shouldn't have got rid of Greg Williams. Yeah, it's very questionable situations there in Tennessee with the Marcus Mariota stuff. It's a blur with their touchdown situation. Jameis Winston has been a roller coaster ride, been very, very inconsistent. 2 weeks ago, I would have said Matt Ryan as well, Matt Lyon. But they've won 2 divisional games so far, 2 surprising on the road divisional games. And Matt Ryan now the defense has been the significant part of it. But where Matt Ryan had usually been making the mistakes in the games that they could have and should have won, he's actually been able to maintain to keep the leads and to keep the wins and making sure that those guys were able to secure the victories. And Atlanta, crazily enough, has 5 divisional games straight. Well, when I posted that earlier, I said, gosh, Atlanta got 5 division games straight. Somebody said ain't nothing in Atlanta straight. So maybe I should say 5 consistent home games. 5 consistent division games. 2 wins already at New Orleans and at Carolina. Winnable games against Tampa at home, against New Orleans at home, and against Carolina at home, all because they're at home. And that dome can be very raucous at times. But all of the people that you named, like I said, Matt Ryan was going to be an honorable mention if we would have asked this question 2 weeks ago. But I'm definitely going no ifs, ands, or buts. For me, it's Phillip Rivers and Phillip Rivers over. Oh, Mitch Trubisky, like you said, not a surprise there. Because real talk, Mitch Trubisky has sucked all 3 years he's been there. But the kicker woes has kind of masked what he's did. And the defense has kind of masked what he's done. But now it sticks out like a sore thumb because he continuously regresses. And so there's no cover up there. So, yeah, it's looking really bad for Trubisky. And the talks of maybe Cam Newton wanting to come to Chicago keep swarming. But as we see now, we could throw Kyle Allen in this list about how he started. And Carolina will be a fool if they try to trade or get rid of Cam, especially with the way Kyle Allen has declined over the past few weeks as well. But speaking of Carolina, going back to Phillip Rivers, the pride of NC State, that's one of the reasons why I try to root for him. He has, to me, been very, very terrible this year because also Phillip Rivers did go to the playoffs last year. See, Tampa didn't go to the playoffs last year. Chicago, they lost in the playoffs because, again, of their kicker. So I was expecting Phillip Rivers and company. You got back to the playoffs. You got a new coach. You got a taste of postseason. I expected them to keep building from that. And especially in the division that was very winnable because we knew Denver was going to be unpredictable. Didn't expect the Raiders. Nobody had the Raiders. Nobody knew the Raiders was going to be doing what they're doing, especially with the tumultuous offseason that they had. And Kansas City, was still kind of like, all right, how they going to act now that they're moving on to another defensive coordinator? And then they lost a lot of pieces on defense, such as your boy that's gone to the Colts right now. His name, he tore them up. His name does not come.
Justin Houston.
Yes, thank you, Justin Houston. So it was kind of like you don't know what Kansas City is going to do. They had the target on their back as the AFC West division winners and going to the AFC Championship game. So this was a very winnable division for Phillip Rivers and company to do. But Phillip Rivers has just been terrible, like you alluded to with all the interceptions, the 15 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, even though he has over 3,100 yards. But Phillip Rivers, how you going to have more interceptions than you got kids? That should be your mark every year. Okay, I got 9 kids. I think I want to do 8 interceptions. I want to have less interceptions than I have kids. So it means like 1 interception every other game. That should be your goal, Phillip Rivers. And plus it bothers me too, because like you said, a lot of this stuff what Phillip Rivers has come on potential game-winning drives when the Chargers have lost all of so many games by 1 possession, very winnable games. You had the chance to put the team on your back and be the hero, leading the offense to charge, pun intended, with Chargers being your mascot. I don't know if it's because they moved to LA. I don't know what's going on. And then Keenan Allen, the receiver, he's from Greensboro, so I really be wanting to root for the Chargers as a result. But Phillip Rivers, you are really, really messing that up. And you're right, maybe he should retire. But I don't know if Phillip Rivers has this pressure on him that maybe he doesn't truly, truly deserve, but it happened. I mean, you came out the same year that Eli Manning did. You came out the same year as Ben Roethlisberger did. And both of these guys have rings. So I don't know if you feel like the forgotten quarterback in this draft as a result and you're trying to still prove yourself. And also, the Eli and Phillip Rivers, that was a trade. So maybe the pressure came from, maybe there's some pressure with, they're like, dang, I got traded for Eli and he got 2 rings and I don't. Oh, by the way, you also came to the Chargers replacing Drew Brees, who has a ring also. So I don't know, maybe if this is part of the reason why Phillip Rivers keeps trying to stick around, because maybe he wants like an MVP or something to not be like the forgotten quarterback of the Drew Brees replacement, or the Ben, or coming out of the same class as Ben and Eli. I don't know, but whatever it is, he either needs to get together, get out of that Chargers organization, or he needs to hang it up. So yeah, tough. It's Phillip Rivers for me. No ifs, ands, or buts, hands down.
Yeah, it's really a sad situation though, because Phillip is like one of the only quarterbacks in that whole era that still does not have a ring. Right. And so for me, it's kind of sad.
It is. It's very disheartening. Like, he deserves better. But somebody did bring up an interesting point to me, too. They was like, F Phillip Rivers, screw Phillip Rivers. He's a jerk. He's a butthole. And I was like, oh, my God, that's terrible. And he was like, look how he talked to fans on the road and stuff. Like, he'd be, like, getting up in their face and bragging and talking junk. Maybe he should be a little more humble, more modest. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, all players talk junk and stuff. But why you going over there tormenting the fans and you ain't even won yet? And then what happens is they end up losing and Phillip Rivers goes and tucks his tail. Like, no, keep your energy when you lose need to be as loud as your disrespect as it is to the fans. So maybe some of this is coming back to him as well, because he don't know how to just be modest and get play in the moment of the game, and he gets such ahead of himself. Maybe he just need to chill out and eat a piece of humble pie.
Yeah, just maybe. I didn't know he was doing all of that, but yeah, maybe sometimes karma has a way of just making you sit down and shut up.
Right. There's like some really there's some good footage. I think it was a Colts game where like he like took off his helmet and was talking junk to the fans. And then when he lost, he put his helmet on and walked off the field. Nah, bruh, consistent energy. Where you at now? Don't tuck your tail and run now. So I didn't think about it either until my coworker had brought that up. He was like, man, Phillip Rivers is a jerk. He deserve all that because, like, look how he be doing the fans. And when he said that, and I was like, you know what? I forgot all about that. So if you get a chance, like, check out some of the footage, because, yeah, he's been very ruthless. And, I mean, he approaches the fans. Like if they score a touchdown, he'd be, like, out there on the sidelines and seeing them in the seats and talking junk to him. He's bad with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about that. Wow.
Right. Wow, exactly. It's crazy. So moving on now to the fourth quarter, as we always do weekly, we kind of talk about the preview of the upcoming week. We're starting to get into the meat and potatoes here. I think this might be the last week or next week of bye weeks too. So this week we will not see games from Kansas City, Minnesota, Arizona, or the Chargers. But there is still a slate of games, including some divisional games kicking off on Thursday night. Colts at Houston. I'm eyeballing that again because it's a divisional game. And now at this moment, with Houston losing the other day and Indy winning, Indy has a lead in the AFC South. So Houston can turn around and get it back if they win against Indy. So that to me is a little bit interesting there. Tampa playing at Atlanta. Again, Atlanta, will they win 3 divisional home games in a row? They just won at Carolina, just won at New Orleans. They returned home to a Tampa Bay team who was very inconsistent. Carolina and New Orleans, another divisional game. Like the last time New Orleans had a home game, they lost to a divisional opponent. Will Carolina go do the same thing? If I was Carolina, I'd be watching that film of that Atlanta at New Orleans game a couple weeks ago, and that film only, and just kind of doing like a repeat of that. I'm trying to emulate that because New Orleans really, really got thrashed that game. Let's see. Detroit is playing at Washington, and this is a Detroit game whose defense is very inconsistent. They've been slipping. Washington, could they possibly snap their 9-game losing streak at home with their $10 tickets? And maybe this is the game fans should come see, because this is a winnable game. So fans, maybe you should go out to D.C., check it out. Hopefully it's not a mud bowl like that 49ers game, so watch the weather. But hey, that might be an intriguing game for Washington. A non-divisional game I'm checking out is Seattle at Philly. That one is huge because Philly is essentially playing for their playoff lives the rest of these games with Dallas having the lead. If you because the only way you're going to get in as an NFC East team, you have to win the division. It's too muddled in the NFC. And so basically you're going to have to win that division to get in. So Seattle, this would be huge for you to beat Philly rather. This would be huge for you to have Seattle come across town. You're favored in this game as well, even though Seattle's got the winning record, most likely because this is 10 a.m. Seattle time, and West Coast teams traveling and playing at 1 o'clock to the East usually don't do well. Oh, and by the way, Philly, this would be huge for you too because Dallas is playing at New England. So if Dallas loses and you win, you're right back in the swing of things. So definitely taking a look at that game. Another divisional game, Jacksonville at Tennessee. As alluded to, Dallas at New England is probably the biggest game to me. I feel like Dallas might be doing some fluky stuff because New England cannot stop the run. Dak is a running quarterback. Plus you have Ezekiel. It's just a matter of are they going to give them the ball. So that one can be a tricky game as well with Dallas at New England. Green Bay at San Fran, I'm definitely zoomed into that one. Tuning into that one on Sunday night primetime. And then Baltimore LA Rams is the NFC champion against a possible AFC champion. So those are the games that I'm kind of eyeballing. Touchdown Tomboy, what are you looking at?
I definitely am going to watch some of the games that you're talking about. Of course, the divisional games in the NFC South, just because, I got to ride with the Panthers. No matter what happens, I got to ride with them, so I got to watch our divisional games. But the biggest games on my radar this week outside of those is the Seahawks and the Eagles. That should be a good game. The Cowboys and the Patriots. Let's see if the Patriots can get that offense kind of back on track because Tom Brady's a little frustrated with the offense right now. And let's because the Cowboys don't usually win against a 500 team, but if they want to make a statement, this will be the game to do it. And then the Packers and the Niners, as you've alluded to, just seeing how Aaron Rodgers handles the pressure of this defense, I think that it'll be an awesome game too. Those are the three games that are really on my radar this week more than any of the other games, and I'm really excited about what that's going to look like come Sunday.
Absolutely. And all three of those games they have heavy playoff implications already in week 12. Of course, week 17 is the end of the season, but already in week 12, we're kind of starting to see where people are in playoff implications, and it is huge. So moving on to overtime, touchdown Tomboy, anything on your radar? Anything you saw interesting in these games during week 11? Or what's on your mind as far as in the overtime segment?
Not too much, except for, did you see David Tepper came out with a press conference, said he will not accept mediocrity?
I did not.
Yes. And so I'm just interested in seeing what kind of shots he was firing. With the Panthers not looking so good, their run defense looking so shoddy. As of right now, I'm like, well, is Coach Rivera and Marty Herney on the hot seat? Because it's sure looking like it.
Wow.
So that'll be interesting to see what's going on with that. But that's all that I have in terms of news, outside of the stuff we've already discussed that I'm just kind of keeping on my radar. Anything you got to talk about, per se?
Well, I just wanted to shout out the Philadelphia Eagles fans. We took a trip up to Philly and caught the game. Shouts to my high school classmate, Tremont McAdoo, for the tickets. Then I have a buddy who's a diehard Eagles fan, Jared Dunn. We went up to Philly. He's from Jersey. He's 20 minutes from Philly. He's from South Jersey. And, of course, Philly is, to the immediate west. So he's 20 minutes from Philly, diehard fan. We went and checked out the game. Of course, it was cold, but it's a beautiful stadium. And I just really want to shout out the Philly fans. They have such a bad reputation of being really, really brutal and really, really mean. I've been to Philly twice this year so far, in May and then this past weekend. And Philly fans always showed me love. It was more that brotherly love that they talk about. Now, of course, they hated New England fans, and if you had a New England jersey, or if you like Tom Brady, you didn't stand a chance. But all the rudeness that people say, they were opening doors and offering seats on the train, on the subway, and complimenting people. I think it was just a bad perception. And my favorite part was seeing the white people, and I'm just describing them as such. I loved seeing them in they Tims with the upper leathers, and they was singing all the Meek Mill lyrics and out of tailgating. And I mean, if you close your eyes to hear these people rapping these Meek Mill lyrics, you wouldn't have pictured that they looked like they did. And I ain't even talking about race part, but I'm talking about these were just like some really, really square, white collared white dudes in their TMs, and like, dudes that probably wouldn't bust a grape at a fruit fight. And I'm like, look, I'm so proud of y'all. So I just was really, really blown away. I really appreciate it. It was the vibes were good. The energy was positive. I just wish they would have won. But I would have loved to have seen how they reacted with the win. They were singing the fight song when they got the touchdown. I hate that Lane Johnson went down, and gosh, Nelson Aguilar dropping out those passes. Goodness, that dude couldn't catch crabs at a whorehouse. But anyway, I really want to just shout out and show love to the Philly fans. They showed us love. It was a good time, had a blast. So, yeah, appreciate them for sure. So this is going to conclude week number 11 of WTF Too Women Talk Football 2, as we broke down the 4 quarters of 4 major topics going on in the NFL this week and gave some little bit of overtime discussions. So, yeah, we're looking forward to week 12 and seeing how these games go. Season's going by fast. We're already close to Thanksgiving. So, yeah, good times and good things going on in the NFL. Be watching to see if these appeals come out with the Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers incidents. Maybe we'll have some discussion about that next week, depending on what comes out with those. So that's something to keep your eyes and ears on. Huge divisional games and games with playoff implications. Hey, we're not looking to see undefeated teams anymore, so that discussion will be over. But yeah, let's see how it goes in week 12. So this is WTF 2 Women Talk Football 2 with yours truly, the Gridiron Goddess, and the lovely and talented, knowledgeable touchdown tomboy. We thank you all so much for the support and for listening. Be sure you follow us on all social medias. Thanks for the support and the love. We'll catch you guys next week, and we're out.